of dollars that can be there for the Greenlanders, and Denmark has done nothing to capitalize on that for the people of Greenland.
Yes.
Look, your GDP is $3.3 billion.
Yes, you've made that point 3 times. The minister actually told you the people of Greenland don't want to be part of...
Yeah, and you're not listening because...
You are about to watch a sitting American congressman do something remarkable on live television. Not defend a policy, not explain a strategy, but openly dismiss the wishes of an entire people and do it with a straight face. What makes this moment powerful isn't just what he says, it's how calmly he says it, as if sovereignty is optional, as if democracy is inconvenient, and once you see it, you won't unsee it.
How are you and fellow Greenlanders feeling tonight?
Well, we are bewildered and have been so since New Year's Eve, I would say. This is an entirely new situation where an ally is threatening to annex or even occupy us.
Are people preparing for some kind of military invasion in practical terms?
Well, people are scared and people are preparing themselves in the ways they can.
Like what?
But of course we're not aiming at a military invasion.
No, you're hoping that won't happen, of course. But are people stocking up on food, for example?
Well, I've been hearing that some of the stores have been running out of some materials and other, but I think right now we're just trying to make sense of the news of the world and figuring out what is it that the states want with us.
Notice the move here. Fear is acknowledged, then immediately brushed aside. No reassurance, no responsibility, just a pivot.
You've just heard the minister. People there are scared and potentially preparing for your democratic country to take their democratic country by military force, a NATO ally, a sovereign country. That's outrageous, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I think the idea that the United States would take Greenland by force is absolutely absurd, and quite frankly, it's a talking point from globalists who are trying to sound an alarm. Let's be honest, the GDP of Greenland is roughly $3.3 billion.
Sure, and if I may, when Donald Trump...
I'll finish. $3.3 billion is, and yet, China has invested $450 billion into the Arctic Sea in just a 5-year period from 2012 to 2017. So if you're in Greenland and you are alarmed, it should be the buildup of resources by China in the region. And you can look at other countries that they've come into, whether it's the Belt and Road Initiative, or if you look at, their Thailand, Taiwan, Hong Kong, etc. So look.
That wasn't clarity. That was dismissal.
I just want to say that in Greenland we do understand that we are a part of the American national security sphere. We get this. What I want to know is, by your standards, what is your plan and your proposal? Leave the people of Greenland. And we do not want to be Americans, and we have been quite clear about that. We do want collaboration and deep partnership and relationship. But I just must ask you, what value do you put on our culture and our right to decide what happens with us in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a valid question. I think as we look, we're entering into a new era. When you look how, open the Arctic Sea is, the Greenland Sea there, the Arctic Ocean, Greenland Sea. And so you look at Russia has, 8 nuclear icebreakers deployed. China has 5. Denmark can't keep pace with that. And so as you have increasing resources by adversaries of the West, and that would include Greenland, you're going to need this relationship with the United States of America.
This was the most respectful question of the entire interview, and it was treated like an inconvenience.
So whether it's the Golden Dome, whether it's trade, and look, there's trillions of dollars in resources there in Greenland for the Greenlanders, for the people. Denmark has not done anything, quite frankly, to capitalize on that for your people, for your country. The United States can certainly do that, and it's a win-win for the Greenlanders.
And do you want to answer the minister's question, which is what value do you put on what the people of Greenland want?
Absolutely. I think if you had a referendum today to the folks of Greenland, they would overwhelmingly want independence from Denmark, and they would overwhelmingly want a closer relationship with the United States of America.
Facts entered the room. They were ignored.
Yeah. In your own words, you've been wanting independence from Denmark for 300 years. How's that working out for you? It's not. And now we have a shift in global initiatives and powers in the region. You can't do anything to defend yourself. Denmark cannot do anything to defend you. It's up to the United States of America. End of story. And unless you're capable, which you are not, of doing that, again, let me go back to the data. 3.3 billion is your GDP. China has already invested over $500 billion into the region, and that number is only growing day by day. And we see these continued incursions. And look, if there's going to be an attack on the Western Hemisphere, it's going to be from that sphere. And the United States of America, quite frankly, is going to have to make, and I think this is going to be a mutually beneficial relationship, but it's going to have to become a protectorate of the United States. And quite frankly, I think the people of Alberta would agree with that sentiment, that they would prefer not to be a part of Canada and be a part of the United States, because we are winning day in and day out.
That sentence matters because it says the quiet part out loud.
And the idea of NATO being able to defend anyone, anywhere, is nonsense without the United States of America. They can't defend their own cities from the current invasion that's taking place from West Africa. They certainly can't do it from Russia or China.
This isn't leadership language, it's ownership language.
We'll try and come back to our Republican congressman. We have a guest here who is laughing at that here in the studio. Sam Kiley, why did you laugh?
Well, because it's absolutely mad to suggest that European nations are being invaded by West Africa. I mean, it just conjured up the kind of really bizarre images in my own mind, having spent quite a lot of my time in my life in West Africa. But equally, what we're hearing there from the congressman are these mendacious tropes, absolute nonsense of China hasn't invested $500 billion in Greenland. They've spent possibly who knows how much money building out their defensive systems or offensive systems. The Western Hemisphere is under attack right now by Russia, which the United States has withdrawn support from the democratic country that is defending against Russia, Ukraine, leaving that to the Europeans, and weakening NATO at the point at which NATO is most vulnerable, the Western Hemisphere is most vulnerable. That's why I was laughing.
That laugh wasn't disrespect. It was reality correcting fantasy.
You have trillions of dollars that can be there for the Greenlanders, and Denmark has done nothing to capitalize on that for the people of Greenland.
Yes.
Look, your GDP is $3.3 billion.
Yes, you've made that point 3 times. The minister actually told you the people of Greenland don't want to be part of...
Yeah, and you're not listening, because clearly they're not doing anything for the people of Greenland.
Sorry.
And here you have the President of the United States that's saying, look, we're here. We want to make it great again.
Right. You saw the protests of the people in Greenland and Denmark saying we're not for sale. A recent poll of Greenlanders suggested only 6% of Greenlanders want their country to become part of the US. 85% are against that. You've got to listen to those people. You're a democratic country. They're a democratic country. They're allies in NATO.
At this point, ignorance is no longer possible.
Well, I think there's more than one narrative at play, and I think there's more than one truth. And I think we all need to find our way in that complexity. I don't think there's a single answer to this question. I think it can have to do with national security, of course, with mineral access, and maybe also with expansionism.
Do you accept that, Congressman Ogles? It's to do with US expansionism?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you have to look at the state of play on the global map today, that it's not NATO that's investing in the Arctic Ocean or the Greenland Sea or in the territory that is Greenland, but it's China and Russia. And unfortunately, we cannot sit idly by and allow that to happen. So as far as Greenland goes, NATO is defunct. It has not had a role. The handful of troops that they're sending there, it's symbolic, and I totally understand why Macron or some of the other leaders were going to want to stand up at Davos and come across as strong in their own roles. I get that and understand that. But at the end of the day, when you look at global peace, the world looks to the United States of America. And what I'm telling you, what the president is telling you, is that Greenland is an integral part of our security and global security, and the time for talk is over. We have to move forward. The clock is ticking.
There's so much wrong with what you just watched. But let's start with the most important part. This wasn't just an interview. This was a worldview being exposed. You saw how easily democracy was waved away. You heard how sovereignty became a technical obstacle. You felt the moment where dialogue ended and entitlement began. This is a pattern. When polls don't matter, they're dismissed. When people disagree, they're ignored. When allies resist, they're spoken to like dependents. And that's why trust is gone, because power that refuses to listen eventually stops pretending it cares. So ask yourself this: is this strength or arrogance dressed up as security? And would you trust people like this to decide the future of another country? If this breakdown mattered to you, you know the drill. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn the bell on.